Chapter 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. March 13th, year 47 of Konoha Village. In a secluded grove nearby, .2 figures blurred as they traded blows, the deafening crashes echoing with each impact, snapping the surrounding trees, **** bang. Another heavy thud, one of the figures, a young guy with thick eyebrows, a green jumpsuit, and a watermelon head haircut, was sent skidding back dozens of feet, only stopping after plowing through several trees. The other, a handsome young man in a black, tight-fitting combat suit with white layered armor, smirked and slowly rubbed his knuckles. "Looks like I win again, guy. The fire of youth burns bright. I won't be discouraged." Guy, the watermelon-headed youth, sprang to his feet, flashed a grin, and shouted, "Let's go another round, reunion." "Nah, gotta clock in." Uchiha Reunion pulled out a white clown mask, carefully placed it on his face, and said casually, "Your taijutsu's still lacking. Better add another 3,000 push-ups to your routine today." "You got it." Guy beamed, threw up a thumbs up, and declared, "The fire of youth demands it. From this day forward, I'll train like a madman." Yeah. Reunion mumbled noncommittally behind his mask. "Seriously, Reunion," Guy hesitated for a moment, then spoke with rare sincerity, "are you really happy just wasting your potential like this? Why not put your talents to use for Konoha? Patrolling the streets is serving Konoha." Reunion shrugged, unimpressed. "You, ugh," as if expecting the response, Guy just shook his head in exasperation, then grinned. What else could he say? He considered Reunion a true friend, of course. He also had Kakashi, his genius friend who graduated from the academy at 5, became a Chunin at 6, and a Jonin at 12, but sadly, Kakashi, recently promoted, was deeply affected by the Kanabi Bridge mission and the loss of Rin and Obito. He'd returned to Konoha a shell of his former self, withdrawn and disillusioned. Reunion, in the same graduating class as Kakashi, had stalled, but Guy knew Reunion was already Jonin level. During the Chunin exams, Reunion had displayed incredible talent, drawing the attention of everyone. The Umbu, Root, even Orochimaru and Jiraiya had all tried to recruit him, but Reunion had chosen the Konoha military police force. The move had been met with confusion, bordering on outrage. The military police were basically glorified cops, and Reunion's talents would be wasted on maintaining order. Eventually, due to the Uchiha Clan's influence, the Umbu, Root, Orochimaru, and the others accepted Reunion's decision. Now, years later, Kakashi had seen countless battles, trained by the legendary Yellow Flash. Reunion was practically invisible, unknown in the military police. If it weren't for his former genius status, people might have forgotten him entirely. The reasons were twofold: Konoha was full of geniuses, and the Uchiha Clan had become far too quiet. "Alright, I'm heading out." Seeing Guy's expression, Reunion stretched and said, "Hope your taijutsu's improved for our next spar." That's right. He was a transmigrator. It had been almost 11 years since he'd arrived in the world of Naruto. His parents had died on a mission, and upon learning he'd been reborn into the Uchiha Clan, he'd nearly had a meltdown. He knew the plot, the Uchiha's destiny, and how thoroughly Shisui and Itachi had been brainwashed by the will of fire, so, from a young age, Reunion had trained relentlessly, determined to change his fate with his own strength. With mental abilities and awareness beyond his peers, he'd graduated the academy at 5 and become a Chunin at 6, but, during the Jonin exams, something unexpected happened. He'd unlocked a god-level sign-in system. By checking in at various locations, he could get random rewards. He could also set a permanent check-in location, which would yield even better rewards over time. So, Reunion had immediately chosen Konoha Village as his permanent check-in location. At the same time, he abandoned his original plan to join the Umbu and be controlled by Hiruzen Sarutobi, and instead opted to become a military policeman. After joining the military police, Reunion wasn't stupid. He didn't try to stand out, instead becoming a model of mediocrity. He clocked in and out on time, quietly trained, signed in, and built up his power, all while keeping a low profile and watching how things unfolded. "Reunion, don't worry, my taijutsu will get stronger." Guy, fired up as always, struck his signature pose and started cranking out push-ups. Sure thing. Asterisk whoosh, starred at a gust of wind, Reunion sensed something, a faint smile playing on his lips. Then, he vanished in a blur. Chapter 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Konoha Village. Hokage's office. Taijutsu. Seriously, that the third Hokage, Sarutobi, a master of all 5 chakra natures, proficient in every Konoha ninjutsu, and known as the Professor, frowned. He stared at the crystal ball on his desk and sighed. Inside the crystal ball, we see Uchiha Reunion heading toward the Konoha garrison. That's right, the third Hokage was using his telescoping technique to spy on Reunion. Why bother? He muttered. With your talent, you should focus on ninjutsu and your Sharingan. To specialize in taijutsu is a waste. Sarutobi slowly pulled out his pipe, narrowed his eyes, and took a puff. He'd always been concerned about the genius Uchiha Reunion. More accurately, he worried about any Uchiha genius. He'd wanted to bring Reunion under his influence, to guide him with the will of fire, but Reunion chose to join the Konoha garrison after the Chunin exams. Sarutobi didn't react outwardly, but inwardly, he groaned. The Uchiha clan had always caused more problems than they solved for Konoha. Now, Uchiha Reunion had joined the garrison. As he grew stronger, he would inevitably increase the Uchiha's power, so, after Reunion joined, Sarutobi made it a habit to secretly monitor him, trying to gauge his progress. He even tacitly approved Root's surveillance of the Uchiha prodigy, but Sarutobi never expected that after joining the garrison, Reunion would become so low-key. He stopped practicing ninjutsu and stopped focusing on his Sharingan. Instead, he seemed obsessed with taijutsu. Taijutsu has its limits. Uchiha Reunion is wasting his potential. Sarutobi exhaled a plume of smoke, a flicker of understanding in his eyes. Ninjas almost always focused on chakra control and ninjutsu. Reunion was going against the grain. It seemed like he was specializing in taijutsu, but against a true Kage-level opponent, that wouldn't get him anywhere. Look at Kakashi. In just a few years, he's grown by leaps and bounds. Reunion had clearly taken the wrong path. Another Uchiha genius lost, Sarutobi said. One day, the Uchiha clan will gradually fade away like the Senju clan. Forget it. There's no need to monitor a failure who's just polishing his taijutsu. The third war is ending. I need to focus on more important matters. Sarutobi pulled a file from his drawer and crossed out a name. Then, he added a question mark, deciding he still needed to investigate. Anyone looking would see that the file contained basic information on Uchiha clan members. At the top was the current clan head, Uchiha Fugaku, followed by Uchiha Shisui, who was still fighting for Konoha on the battlefield. Fugaku's name was in red, marked with the Uchiha clan symbol. Shisui's name was in black, marked with the Konoha crest. Meanwhile, sensing the fading sense of prying eyes, Reunion smirked. Being a genius was hard, being an Uchiha genius was even harder, especially after joining the Konoha garrison. Every few days, he was secretly observed by Root agents, Umbu, and even the third Hokage himself. Orochimaru, one of the legendary Sannin, even sent people. If he hadn't unlocked observation haki and gained extremely keen perception, he would have been caught long ago. Of course, being discreet didn't mean revealing nothing. Over the years, he had deliberately shown his dedication to taijutsu, mastering it to a surprising degree. This was all to throw Sarutobi, Danzo, and the others off his trail. Thinking about it made him smile. A few years ago, during the Chunin exams, his god-level sign-in system had awakened. He immediately designated Konoha Village as a permanent sign-in area, checking in discreetly. The more valuable the location where the system refreshes, the better the reward. He could also continue to sign into the same spot, though the rewards wouldn't be as high. System, open my stats panel. Reunion mentally commanded. Ding. Generating host stats panel. Ding. Stats panel generated. Host, Uchiha Reunion. Age, 11. Permanent sign-in area, Konoha Village. Valuable sign-in rewards, Whitebeard template, 40% unlocked. 6 styles, proficient, fire release, great fire annihilation, haki, advanced. Next sign-in location refresh, 1 day, Note: sign in at the system's refreshed location to receive great rewards. Just one more day until the system refreshes the location, Reunion thought, looking around in satisfaction. Theoretically, he could check in anywhere in Konoha, but the rewards for random sign-ins were limited and not very valuable. He hated to waste them. Signing in where the system refreshed gave him a chance for real rewards. For example, the last refresh point was at the Uchiha compound, and he signed in to get the Whitebeard template. Normally, non-stop sign-ins at the compound only yielded silver coins and other junk. As for the Whitebeard template, he'd initially wanted to fuse it immediately, but his small body couldn't handle it. Forcing the fusion would likely kill him, so he had to unlock it slowly. He'd only fused 40% so far, but that had already given him a powerful body. He could probably take down a Chunin with a single punch. His only complaint was that he hadn't unlocked enough to use Whitebeard's Tremor fruit. Chapter 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The only thing bugging Uchiha was that he hadn't unlocked enough fusions yet, so he couldn't use Whitebeard's shock fruit power. Even so, his physical arts training had brought about some serious changes over the years. No need to rush, take your time. Report to the Konoha garrison first. A few seconds later, with a whoosh, Uchiha Itachi blurred into an afterimage. Anyone watching would have been shocked to see him generating explosive force by stomping the ground at high speed dozens of times in a fraction of a second, 0.36 seconds, to achieve such rapid movement. Konoha Village, the northern part of the center. Swish. Swish. Phew, the air crackled. Many ninjas wearing cat masks sped into view, immediately converging on a building. From a distance, 0.6 large characters emblazoned across the building read, Konoha Garrison. That's right, this was the Konoha Garrison's base. Originally, to keep the Uchiha clan in check, the second Hokage, Senju Kazuma, established the Konoha police force. He also stipulated that Uchiha clan members were responsible for maintaining law and order within Konoha, making village rules, strengthening the order of Konoha, and arresting people with criminal tendencies and ninjas. Excluding those directly under the Hokage. Sometimes, they'd even support the Umbu in the village's security work. However, the police force's powers were limited. They weren't allowed to interfere in matters involving the Umbu. For example, this was intended to both express the second Hokage's trust in the Uchiha clan and to keep a close eye on their every move. The establishment of the Konoha police force also marked the peak of the Uchiha clan's fame and power in Konoha. Here we are. Phew. An afterimage flashed. Uchiha Itachi materialized right in front of the Konoha garrison building. Seems like the Konoha garrison is a lot more out in the open than the Umbu or Root headquarters. A playful glint flickered in Uchiha Itachi's eyes as he muttered to himself, looking at the building before him. If he remembered correctly, Root and Umbu were both based underground, like they were something to hide. Too bad the Konoha garrison won't be around for long. A moment later, Uchiha Itachi seemed to recall something, and he sighed involuntarily. It was the 47th year of Konoha. The Nine-Tails attack was right around the corner. After the Nine-Tails incident, tensions would escalate between the Uchiha clan and Konoha's leadership, triggering a chain reaction that would affect the Konoha garrison. Before the Nine-Tails attack, the Uchiha clan ninjas and the Konoha garrison were actual cops. Afterwards, they'd be reduced to glorified meter maids, collectively ostracized by the Konoha leadership and the major clans. But for now, the Nine-Tails incident hadn't happened yet. The Uchiha clan's relationship with the Konoha leadership was still relatively relaxed. System: sign in at the Konoha village garrison. After a few seconds, Uchiha Itachi stopped overthinking and simply gave the order. Ding! Sign in successful. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Impatience technique and 0.12% experience. Ding! Rewards have been distributed to the system space and can be viewed by the host at any time. Hearing the system's prompt, Uchiha Itachi focused his mind, and the reward-specific information appeared. Fire style, Impatience technique, continuously spit fireballs from the mouth. The attack trajectory is like the fruit of the Impatience, and the fireball's trajectory can be manipulated using chakra. Once the host accepts it, it will be instantly mastered, and there is no need to weave signs, just clap it with both hands. Whitebeard's template has been unlocked to 40%, plus 0.12%, and now the host has unlocked Whitebeard's template by 40.12%. Not bad. After quickly looking it over, Uchiha nodded slightly. The sign-in reward was decent this time. At least he'd learned a new ninjutsu, and he'd unlocked another 0.12% of the Whitebeard template. Leonien, hurry up. The captain's supposed to be back today. He's apparently got a big announcement to make. Just then, two ninjas wearing cat masks hurried over. They saw the slightly dazed Uchiha Leonien and spoke urgently. Uchiha Iron Fire, Uchiha Rice Fire, you're saying the captain's back? Hearing this, Uchiha Ryuan frowned, and asked in disbelief, didn't Captain Uchiha Fugaku go to participate in the Third Shinobi World War? That's right, these two guys in front of him, Uchiha Iron Fire and Uchiha Rice Fire, were among the Uchiha's few friends in the Konoha garrison. Yeah, but you only care about training your physical arts all day. Uchiha Iron Fire said with a hint of excitement, the Third Shinobi World War is almost over, and Konoha's basically locked up the win. That when the topic shifted to the war, Uchiha Rice Fire seemed to get a little worked up, laughing proudly. This time, the Uchiha clan kicked the crap out of the Hidden Mist Village. Hearing this, Uchiha couldn't help but chuckle, sending the Uchiha clan, who specialize in fire style, to fight the Hidden Mist Village, who are experts in water style. Talk about Konoha leadership showing the Uchiha clan some love. Let's go. We'll talk on the way. Uchiha Iron Fire and Uchiha Rice Fire didn't notice the odd look on Uchiha's face as they headed towards the Konoha garrison building together. Alright. Uchiha shrugged and followed them. Chapter 4. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Over 10 minutes later, inside the Konoha garrison HQ's huge conference room, Riwinu Uchiha saw a crowd of Uchiha ninjas back from the battlefield. Most wore cat-faced masks or black cloaks. No one spoke, but a palpable sense of barely contained violence hung in the air. These were undoubtedly elite ninjas, hardened by countless battles and the Uchiha clan's most potent force. In the back, Leonien Uchiha, Iron Fire Uchiha, and Rice Fire Uchiha found their places and sat down silently. Riwinu had learned from Iron Fire and Rice Fire about how, initially, the Uchiha clan had been pushed back by the Hidden Mist forces. But then, yearsI Uchiha stepped up at a crucial moment. He used incredible genjutsu and body flicker techniques to turn the tide, routing the Hidden Mist and earning the title yearsI of the body flicker. But there was a catch. Fugaku Uchiha, the Konoha garrison captain, had intended to lead the charge. However, the village, prioritizing the bigger picture, instructed yearsI to act instead. yearsI delivered, suppressing the Hidden Mist forces and cementing his reputation as the Uchiha's strongest genjutsu user. When Iron Fire and Rice Fire recounted this, they seemed oblivious to any hidden agenda, only expressing pride in their clan and admiration for yearsI. After all, strength earns respect, especially when yearsI led the Uchiha to victory. Leonien rubbed his head, annoyed. Damn politics. Just thinking about it gave him a headache. Of course, the Uchiha clan knew Konoha's real game. They were using yearsI to steal the credit that should have gone to Fugaku. The reason? To subtly discourage Fugaku from pursuing the Hokage title. What they didn't count on was how thoroughly yearsI had been brainwashed by the will of fire. He hadn't expected Fugaku, as both clan patriarch and garrison captain, to cave so easily. Maybe he still has hope for yearsI. Leonien sighed to himself, then decided not to dwell on it. The Uchiha's downfall was still far off, giving him plenty of time to level up. On the night of the massacre, he'd have a big surprise ready for the Uchiha clan, Konoha, and Akatsuki. Soon after, once most of the Konoha garrison ninjas had arrived, Fugaku Uchiha entered with a somber face, followed by a boy with sharp features. Judging by the boy's expression and the aura he gave off, Leonien knew he'd seen action on the battlefield. Itachi Uchiha. Leonien shook his head slightly in distaste. Compared to yearsI, Itachi was even more loathsome. The Sharingan could cause mental instability, but that wasn't an excuse for Itachi to slaughter his own clan to protect his little brother. After all, the Uchiha weren't just ninjas, they were also civilians. Of course, he knew the story, and he wasn't about to change Itachi's mind. If he wanted to be brainwashed by the will of fire, he'd get his comeuppance on the night of the massacre. Wouldn't that be satisfying? Ultimately, strength mattered most. He would keep leveling up in silence. One day, when he could flatten Konoha with a single punch, maybe the village elders would listen calmly. Then Konoha, mired in the will of fire, wouldn't have so many schemes. With this war, the Third Great Ninja War is basically over. Shortly after entering the conference room, Fugaku stood at the head, placed Itachi behind him, took a deep breath, and announced in a serious tone, "Our Konoha garrison can be proud of a job well done, defeating the hidden mist forces." "Captain Fugaku, what about yearsI Uchiha?" An Uchiha ninja from the garrison asked, a little confused. "Yeah, where's yearsI? YearsI really pulled off a win for us this time, showing the Uchiha's power and dominance. YearsI of the body flicker is known throughout the ninja world." Spurred by the first question, many of the Uchiha garrison ninjas in the room displayed obvious pride. As naturally arrogant members of the Uchiha clan, born with the Sharingan, the Uchiha were now at the height of their power. The Uchiha clan's strength was clear to see, and yet, now the Uchiha clan had returned triumphant, but one of its heroes, yearsI Uchiha, was absent from the conference, which seemed odd. "Well." Fugaku hesitated before saying, "yearsI has gone to see the Third Hokage. I imagine he's putting in a good word for the Uchiha again." Before he could finish, Riwinu Uchiha, who had remained quiet until then, burst out laughing. In fact, it wasn't just Riwinu, most of the elite Uchiha ninjas in the room were smirking. The only difference was that Riwinu's laughter dripped with sarcasm and disdain, while the other Uchiha's elite ninjas chuckled with pride and satisfaction. Clearly, they were pleased with yearsI's actions. Chapter 5. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Damn it. Looking at the eager Uchiha clan's elite ninjas, Uchiha Fugaku's expression remained stoic, but inwardly, he sighed. Others might not have picked up on it, but he had noticed that while Uchiha yearsI appeared dedicated to the clan, his loyalties were often elsewhere. Take, for example, this situation. As a war hero, the first thing yearsI did upon returning to Konoha was to meet with the Third Hokage, Sarutobi, and yet, yearsI was still an Uchiha. Fugaku remained confident that when push came to shove, yearsI would choose the clan. What's the point of all this? Meanwhile, among the elite Uchiha ninjas in the conference room, Itachi, standing beside Fugaku, was lost in thought. He had witnessed the deaths of comrades on the battlefield. Even at 4 or 5, the experience had seared the cruelty of war into his soul. Maybe the will of fire is the best path. A realization dawned on the precocious Itachi. He clenched his fists, silently resolving to meet with yearsI, who served as both a mentor and a friend. "All right, I have another announcement," Fugaku said, his eyes narrowing. He took a breath and continued, "The war is nearing its end. We secured a victory, but at a heavy cost. I've received word that the Konoha Council will soon elect the 4th Hokage." "What? The 4th Hokage? Captain Fugaku, surely you'll be nominated on behalf of the Uchiha clan." "Is the 3rd Hokage, Sarutobi, stepping down?" The room erupted. Hokage. The title itself, as the leader of Konoha, carried immense weight. The selection would be of deep importance to everyone. If they played their cards right, Fugaku becoming Hokage could elevate the Uchiha clan to new heights. Selecting a 4th Hokage, White Fang was driven to suicide, Tsunade has a phobia of blood, Jiraiya's not interested, and Orochimaru will eventually defect, and Sarutobi can be ruthless when he needs to be. In the back row, Uchiha Yonyen, arms crossed, smirked. As an outsider, he knew Fugaku would pull out of the race. The Konoha elders, led by Sarutobi, already had a candidate in mind, Minato Namikaze, the Yellow Flash, who'd made a name for himself in the war. Konoha might be considered the strongest village, but it was riddled with internal issues. Sarutobi's support for Minato stemmed from his proven abilities, his war record, and the fact that he had none of the burdens and conflicts surrounding the Uchiha clan. Quiet. Fugaku frowned at the commotion. Raising his voice, he declared, "I've already informed the 3rd Hokage that I am withdrawing from the election." Silence, a stunned silence, the faces of the Uchiha ninjas froze, replaced by looks of disbelief. Fugaku's withdrawal meant the Uchiha clan wouldn't have a shot at the Hokage title. That's all for today's meeting. Itachi, let's go. Fugaku didn't acknowledge anyone else. He glanced around and strode out of the conference room, Itachi hurrying after him. How could this happen? Fugaku withdrew. Well, maybe Captain Fugaku knows what he's doing. As Fugaku and Itachi departed, murmurs of anger and disappointment spread through the room. The Uchiha clan had been actively working to improve their standing within Konoha. Now, with such an opportunity, Fugaku had simply thrown it away, leaving many confused. Figures, Leonian muttered, shaking his head as he left the room. He paid no attention to the complaints. These Uchiha ninjas couldn't even grasp the bigger picture. Maybe it was the side effects of the Sharingan that made them so narrow-minded. Then again, it was also arrogance. The Sharingan had made some of them too cocky, and they hadn't been brought back down to earth. Chapter 6. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Meanwhile, in Konoha Village. Hokage's office, the third Hokage, Sarutobi, couldn't help but smile as he looked at Uchiha Shisui standing ramrod straight before him. His eyes sparkled with pride. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. The Uchiha clan had won a resounding victory against the hidden mist forces. Shisui Uchiha had taken all the credit, just as he'd planned. Now, Shisui's power rivaled Fugaku's. Add to that Minato Namikaze, not to mention Orochimaru and Jiraiya, two of the legendary Sannin, and Konoha Village's overall strength had skyrocketed. Still, the massive casualties Konoha suffered in the Third Shinobi World War nagged at him. Sarutobi's brow furrowed, but the moment he thought of Minato, he relaxed. Even if he wasn't Hokage, he could still pull the strings from behind the scenes. Satisfied with this thought, Sarutobi took a puff from his pipe before saying slowly, Uchiha Shisui, you performed admirably this time. It's what was expected. Shisui took a deep breath and said solemnly, Lord Third Hokage, this time our Uchiha clan has lived up to your trust. I hope the Konoha Council will grant us some recognition. Rest assured, rewards will be given. Sarutobi exhaled a plume of white smoke and said crisply, Shisui, it's a great relief to have you in the Uchiha clan. Looking at you now, I'm reminded of Uchiha Kagami. Sarutobi looked momentarily uncomfortable. Kagami possessed a strong will of fire, dedicating his life to Konoha and making invaluable contributions to the village's development. I hope you will inherit his will. Yes, sir. Shisui nodded seriously, his voice firm. Lord Third Hokage, I will continue to work hard. Good. Sarutobi's eyes gleamed with satisfaction. He changed the subject. Are you familiar with Uchiha Reunion? Uchiha Reunion. Shisui paused, as if searching his memory. Didn't he join the Konoha military police force? Right. Shisui knew of Uchiha Reunion. After all, Reunion had been considered a genius on par with Kakashi, but, after joining the military police force, he seemed to fade into obscurity. So much so that, with Shisui's rapid rise during the Third War, he'd almost forgotten about him. He joined the military police force. Sarutobi paused, taking another puff. I want you to test him, see if he has the strength of a Jonin. He's a genius, after all, and I don't want a talent like that wasted in the military police force. Sarutobi, after careful consideration, revealed a rare hint of genuine concern. There was no question about it, having Shisui test Reunion was all part of Sarutobi's plan. That's right, he wanted to confirm if this Reunion was the same one he'd been observing with his crystal ball jutsu, the one who seemed to be dedicating all his time to physical training. A Jonin-level assessment. Hearing this, Shisui nodded thoughtfully. As someone thoroughly indoctrinated with the will of fire, he couldn't imagine that Sarutobi wasn't simply looking out for the village, but rather that he didn't want to see any potentially dangerous geniuses emerging from the Uchiha clan. Okay, I'll find a time to test Uchiha Reunion. After a moment, Shisui spoke decisively. Excellent. Sarutobi exhaled several large plumes of white smoke with great satisfaction. You can test him anytime. I'll be watching with my crystal ball jutsu. If Uchiha Reunion truly possesses Jonin-level strength, then Konoha Village will have another powerful shinobi. Understood. Shisui didn't suspect a thing, bowing slightly. I'll test him. I'm curious about this genius of our Uchiha clan myself. Very well. Sarutobi gestured, indicating that Shisui was dismissed. A whoosh of displaced air. Shisui had already left the office. Once I've tested Uchiha Reunion, I should figure out how to get Minato Namikaze into the Hokage seat. After Shisui left, a glint of ruthlessness flickered in Sarutobi's eyes. What else could be said? This third war might have been a victory for Konoha on paper, but the village had suffered massive losses, and someone had to take the fall. The higher-ups in Konoha were already angling for position, so, Sarutobi decided to go all in. Wouldn't it be best to simply step into the background and control everything from the shadows? Of course, even in retirement, Sarutobi could never relax his vigilance towards the Uchiha clan. After all, it was the Uchiha and Senju clans who had originally founded Konoha. Now that the Senju clan had been suppressed and practically disbanded, and Tsunade was, after all, his apprentice, then the Uchiha clan had to be carefully monitored and kept in check. As for the Hokage position, there was no way he would allow a member of the Uchiha clan to take it. That was a matter of principle, and the unspoken consensus of Konoha's leadership. P.S. Ask for tips. Collection. Flowers and reviews, Sprout New. Thank you. Chapter 7. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Shisui Uchiha left the Hokage's office, darkness was falling. He paused, gazing at Konoha Village shrouded in the night, then headed toward the Uchiha clan compound. The Ninetales attack hadn't happened yet, so the Uchiha clan was still in Konoha's central district. It only took Shisui about half an hour to reach the compound, inside the Uchiha clan's ancestral hall. Sir, I'm back. Shisui appeared in the hall and gave a slight bow to Fugaku Uchiha, who was waiting. Good, you're here, Fugaku replied flatly, his expression unchanged. What did the third Hokage say? The higher-ups in Konoha are offering the Uchiha clan some rewards. Rewards? Yes, that's what the third Hokage said. And? A hint of displeasure flickered across Fugaku's face, but he continued coolly, you keep playing along with Konoha's leaders. I'll handle things here. Understood. Fugaku clearly understood Sarutobi's cunning. He knew any so-called reward would just be empty praise. Then again, he wasn't expecting much. The Uchiha clan might have earned Konoha's trust by defeating the hidden mist forces, but the tension between the Uchiha and Konoha's leadership had been there since the village's founding. It couldn't be resolved overnight. Got it. Shisui replied, lowering his head. A look of pain flashed in his eyes. The war had just ended, and the conflict between the Uchiha and Konoha leadership was still unresolved, deeply troubling him. No. Absolutely not. I won't let my clan and village fall into war. I will ensure the Uchiha and Konoha coexist peacefully and share the will of fire. One day, I'll make the will of fire embrace the Uchiha clan. Shisui clenched his fists, a determined glint in his eyes, and made this silent vow. There wasn't much else to say. He needed to bridge the divide between the village and his clan. He was willing to sacrifice himself, guided by the will of fire, to improve or even eliminate the conflict between the Uchiha and Konoha. Sir, did the third Hokage ask me to evaluate Uchiha Ryuin? A few seconds later, Shisui spoke up, remembering something. Ryuin Uchiha? Fugaku pondered for a moment before disdainfully replying, it seems the third Hokage still doesn't trust our clan. It's a shame Ryuin went down the wrong path. Fugaku shook his head, a rare look of helplessness on his face. He'd initially been optimistic about Ryuin Uchiha, a genius who could rival or even surpass Kakashi, especially after Ryuin joined the Konoha military police force, but things hadn't gone as planned. After joining the military police force, Ryuin had become increasingly indifferent. He wasn't training his chakra or ninjutsu, and didn't even seem to be developing his Sharingan. All he cared about was training his taijutsu. That's right, taijutsu was his sole focus. after a few in-depth conversations with Ryuan, especially after hearing that Ryuan dreamed of becoming the strongest ninja in the world through taijutsu, Fugaku had almost choked with anger. Seriously? An Uchiha ninja, neglecting chakra and visual jutsu, to instead focus on taijutsu? It was completely backward. Because of this, Fugaku had basically given up on Ryuan. He didn't believe Ryuan could reach the pinnacle of the ninja world through taijutsu. Hadn't he noticed that the two founders of Konoha, the legendary ninjas Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju, had relied on the Mangekyo Sharingan and would release to make their names? You can go ahead and evaluate Ryuan Uchiha. Since Sarutobi wanted to test him, Fugaku wasn't going to interfere. He added, Ryuan has been refining his taijutsu for years. He has considerable ability and strength, so be careful. Be careful? Shisui looked puzzled, a slight twitch in the corner of his mouth, as the famous Shisui of the body flicker. He couldn't imagine being unable to handle Ryuan Uchiha. Besides, it was just a simple evaluation. There was no need to make a big deal out of it. In the Konoha military police force, Ryuan Uchiha completes every mission perfectly, relying on his taijutsu. Fugaku seemed to sense Shisui's disdain. He shook his head meaningfully. Even though he's gone down the wrong path. I have a feeling that no one in Konoha knows taijutsu better than he does. Shisui was confused. He didn't understand Fugaku's meaning. One moment Fugaku was saying Ryuan's training had gone astray, and the next he was saying no one knew taijutsu better than Ryuan. Was it a compliment or a lament? Or was it a subtle form of protection? He just didn't get it. Go on. Faced with Shisui's confusion, Fugaku simply waved dismissively. Okay. Shisui shook his head, disappearing from the ancestral hall in a flash. The Uchiha clan's taijutsu specialists are getting more and more out of control. Watching Shisui leave, Fugaku's eyes narrowed. He couldn't help but think of the missions Ryuan had completed in the Konoha military police force over the past few years. Perfect, absolutely perfect, of course. As the captain of the military police force, he had sealed all that mission information to protect Ryuan Uchiha. It was just a shame, why hadn't Ryuan trained his chakra and ninjutsu in years? And the Uchiha clan's prized Sharingan? He hadn't developed it much, either. He should have unlocked it by now. Thinking of this, Fugaku's frustration grew. He felt like this prodigy was wasting his talent by obsessing over taijutsu, narrowing his potential. Wasn't chakra training, unlocking the Sharingan, affecting the speed of Ryuan's taijutsu development? Chapter 8. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Later that evening, Uchiha Ryuan, Kurenai Yuhi, and Yugao Yuzuki strolled out of the barbecue joint. Man, I'm stuffed. Ryuan said, rubbing his stomach. Clocking out and chowing down like this is the best. You really put it away, Ryuan. Yugao, with her long, flowing purple hair, covered her mouth and giggled. It's not the first time I've seen it, but still, you really packed it away, Ryuan. Kurenai blinked, shaking her head in amusement. It was a joke, really. Pretty much every time they ate, Ryuan would down the equivalent of 20 or 30 meals, easy, and somehow, he stayed in killer shape. It made Yugao and Kurenai green with envy. Girls had to watch their figures. After all, Kurenai and Yugao weren't exactly close, but they had a mutual friend, Uchiha Ryuan. He'd introduced them, and they'd started hanging out whenever Ryuan was around. Can't help it, Ryuan said, raising his eyebrows with a sigh. Gotta fuel the growth, you know. Truth was, Ryuan hadn't planned on stirring anything up with Kurenai and Yugao. But, what can he say? He's a charmer. Over time, he'd found himself getting closer to them. Whatever. Alright, I gotta head back. Hearing that, Kurenai and Yugao rolled their eyes in unison, letting out a collective groan. Okay, I'm out, whoosh, star. Before Kurenai and Yugao could even react, they felt a gust of wind on their faces. When they finally looked around, Ryuan was long gone. Under the night sky, Kurenai and Yugao stood there, red-faced and flustered, completely bewildered. Half an hour later, in the Uchiha district, a secluded house in the center, as a member of the Konoha military police force, And with his parents having died on a mission for the clan, Ryuan had his own place in the Uchiha district and enjoyed plenty of benefits. Ah, that's the stuff. After a hot shower, Ryuan checked himself out in the mirror, admiring the handsome guy staring back. Then, wrapped in a white towel, he plopped onto the sofa with a contented sigh. System, sign in at the Uchiha Clan. A few seconds later, sipping a cup of hot tea, Ryuan spoke in a relaxed voice. Ding! Sign in successful. Congratulations to the host for obtaining ninjutsu, fire style, flame bullet, fire style, great dragon flame bullet, and 0.22% experience. Ding! Rewards have been distributed to the system space and can be viewed by the host at any time. Let's take a look. Fire style, flame bullet, a fireball ninjutsu that releases a powerful blast of fire from the mouth. Once the host accepts it, it will be instantly mastered. No need for hand seals, just clap your hands together. Fire style, great dragon flame bullet, an extremely powerful fireball ninjutsu belonging to the highest tier of fire style, capable of instantly evaporating an entire pond. Once the host accepts it, it will be instantly mastered. No need for hand seals, just clap your hands together. Whitebeard's template unlocked, 40.12%, plus 0.22%. Current template unlocked, 40.34%. A C rank and a B rank fire style jutsu. Glancing at the sign-in rewards, Ryuan smirked. I'll take them all, buzz, star. Suddenly, before Ryuan could even process it, a strange energy enveloped him. Before he knew it, he'd learned the fire style, flame bullet and fire style, great dragon flame bullet, now ready at his command. Even better, his physical stats seemed to have gotten a boost, even though this sign-in only unlocked another 0.22% of the Whitebeard template, his body was subtly getting stronger. Moments later, Ryuan snapped back to reality, using his observation haki to check the surroundings. Making sure no one was spying on him, he started to take stock of his situation. Now, he was just pretending to be training his physical skills really hard. Not too flashy, not too lazy. After all, a lot of people thought that anyone from the Uchiha clan without the Sharingan was just trash. It wasn't just the Uchiha clan's almost pathological faith in the Sharingan, but also how the higher-ups in Konoha, and even the entire ninja world, sized them up. Ryuan hadn't let on that he'd awakened the Sharingan at all, so, in the eyes of many, Ryuan hadn't awakened the Sharingan. He might be strong physically, but his potential was limited. But the truth? Buzz. Suddenly, without warning, Ryuan's ordinary eyes turned crimson red. Immediately, 1 tomo, 2 tomo, and then 3 tomo appeared in his eyes. No doubt about it, everyone thought Ryuan was playing checkers, but really, he was playing 4D chess. He hadn't just awakened the Sharingan, he'd already reached the 3 tomo level. P.S. Please support with tips, collections, flowers, and reviews. Thank you. Chapter 9. You are listening at novelfull.audio. No doubt about it, most people think Uchiha Ryuan is just getting started, but really, he's way ahead. He's not only awakened his Sharingan but has also reached the 3 tomo level. Ryuan, knowing the story, understands how Sharingan upgrades work. They activate when an Uchiha experiences intense negative emotions, like seeing a loved one die, creating a special chakra. As for why he hasn't pursued the Mangekyo Sharingan yet, the side effects are too much, and he's waiting for the right moment. Seriously. With a god-tier check-in system, he's bound to get some awesome stuff, unlocking the Mangekyo Sharingan without any drawbacks. After all, he doesn't have any siblings to evolve the Mangekyo Sharingan into the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan like Madara and Sasuke. Right now, I just need to focus on checking in, unlocking, and fusing Whitebeard's template. Then, I'll at least be able to level Konoha with one punch. A few seconds later, Ryuan focused again on unlocking the Whitebeard template. Currently, he's unlocked and fused 40.34% of it, drastically improving his physical abilities, and this isn't bragging. Even without the Tremor fruit or Whitebeard's swordsmanship, observation haki, armament haki, and conqueror's haki, he can already crush 99% of all ninjas. Note: Ryuin obtained advanced insight and haki through the check-in system. The only exception is because the 6 paths are ridiculously strong, especially their yin-yang release, 6 paths power, truth-seeking orbs, and other overpowered abilities. Checking in lets me learn a ton of ninjutsu, but my chakra reserves are only at the jonin level. Using a few big moves will wipe me out, and that's after all my hard work. Ryuin winced, thinking about his chakra training. He hadn't slacked off, but chakra cultivation takes time, and without being a Jinchuriki or having an immortal body, his progress was slow. Also, Ryuin's chakra nature types are fire, wind, lightning, earth, water, and Yin. Yin is there because of the Sharingan, and he's only okay with the others, far from mastering them. Looks like I still have to train. Ryuin sighed, shook his head, and clapped his hands. Upstream of the Nanga River, in a hidden canyon, 5 shadow clones dispelled into white smoke. Still no Rasengan or Chidori. After getting the clones' memories and experiences, a look of frustration crossed Ryuin's face. He'd been using shadow clones for training since learning the shadow clone technique, from basic stuff like walking on water and climbing trees to trying to develop the Rasengan and Chidori. Of course, he wasn't dumb enough to use shadow clones for physical training. That would be a waste. Forget it. The shadow clones can keep working on ninjutsu, and I'll do some training. Ryuin clapped his hands, created 5 shadow clones, and started a basic physical workout in his room. The next day, early morning. Phew. Ryuin, in a horse stance, opened his eyes and took a deep breath. Ding. Congratulations, host, completed the daily task, 8 hours of training. Reward, 0.26% experience. Ding. Whitebeard template fusion unlocked to 40.6%. Hearing the system prompts, a smile appeared on Ryuin's face. Besides checking in, training also unlocks the Whitebeard template. He'd finally hit 40.6%. Ding. Congratulations, host, new check-in locations refreshed. Please check. Suddenly, another system prompt sounded. Finally refreshing. Ryuin clenched his fists, excited. The rewards from system refreshed check-in locations are usually huge. System, show me my status panel. Instantly, Ryuin gave the silent command. Ding. Generating host status panel. Ding. Status panel generated. Host, Uchiha Ryuin. Age, 11 years old, current check-in area, Konoha Village. Key rewards obtained through check-ins. Whitebeard template, one of the 4 emperors, 40.6% unlocked. Navy 6 styles, proficient, fire style, fire extinction, haki, advanced. Next check-in location, First Hokage's head on Hokage Rock. Check-in time, 1 minute. Note, check-in at the system refreshed location for awesome rewards. First Hokage's head on Hokage Rock. Ryuin quickly scanned the panel and was surprised to see the Hokage Rock location. He hadn't expected to check in there. P.S. Please leave tips. Collect. Flowers and reviews, encourage new. Thank you. Chapter 10. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Now that you know where the system refresh check-in is, Uchiha didn't hesitate. After a quick cleanup, he was ready to head out, but just as he was leaving the Uchiha compound, he sensed something was off. There are 9 presences nearby. 2 are Uchiha Clan ninjas, 1 is Uchiha Shursui, 3 are Umbu Black Ops, and 3 are Root ninjas. Uchiha Leonian kept his face neutral, but secretly pushed his observation haki to the max. Usually, Root and Umbu would only send 1 ninja to tail him. Now there are 3. And what's up with the Uchiha presence? More importantly, what's Shursui planning? He hadn't interacted much with Shursui, but he'd crossed paths with him a few times at the Konoha garrison and had memorized his chakra signature. Whatever, not worth the trouble. Leonian thought for a moment, then shrugged it off. He didn't want to overthink it. Using the Navy 6 style's shave, he shot straight towards the first Hokage's head on Hokage Rock. Whoosh, star, almost a blur. Uchiha Leonian vanished. Damn, that's fast. Is that a taijutsu specialist's speed? Incredible. When Uchiha Ionin took off, the 2 hidden Uchiha ninjas, the 3 root, the 3 umbu, and even yearsI were all stunned. As elite Konoha ninjas, they could tell that Uchiha Ionin was relying solely on his raw speed, completely. They were surprised. They followed after Uchiha's disappearing figure. Little did they know, their assassination skills and chakra concealment were useless against Ionin's advanced observation haki. Meanwhile, in Konoha Village, at the Hokage's office. It's time to begin. The third Hokage, Sarutobi, took a puff of his pipe, glanced at the crystal ball, and said softly. Humph. Across from him, a man with crutches snorted, chilling the atmosphere in the room. Sarutobi, you're really something else. Shimura Danzo shook his head with a sneer. Using yearsI to test Uchiha Ionin? Only you would do that. You sent your root guys too, didn't you? Sarutobi exhaled a cloud of smoke. Ionin turned down both umbu and root to join the Konoha garrison. But his training, it's unorthodox. An Uchiha taijutsu specialist. What a joke. Danzo frowned, staring at Sarutobi. Ionin is a nobody. No matter how good his taijutsu is, it won't matter. Give me yearsI. You know how dangerous yearsI Sharingan are. Heh. Sarutobi set down his pipe, shaking his head. Danzo, drop it. No. I'll keep bringing it up. Danzo's tone hardened. Konoha belongs to us, not just the Uchiha. They're becoming increasingly defiant. Maybe we should. Enough, Sarutobi cut him off. The Uchiha have their place. I want to keep Konoha peaceful and stable. Danzo shrugged, falling silent. He'd expected Sarutobi's reaction, but as long as it wasn't a flat-out no, he still had a chance. Besides, he knew Sarutobi was just as ruthless, if not more so. Sarutobi was good at making people disappear, the Senju being a prime example. What's this? Ionin is heading to Hokage Rock. Sarutobi glanced at the crystal ball, surprised. What's he doing at Hokage Rock? Danzo was puzzled, despite his low opinion of Ionin. He should be heading to the training grounds before reporting to the garrison, where yearsI would evaluate him. I don't know. Sarutobi shook his head and took another puff. Elsewhere, whoosh, Uchiha Ionin appeared on Hokage Rock, between the first Hokage and Hashirama Senju's head. System, check in at Hokage Rock, between Hashirama and the first Hokage. Standing on the rock, Ionin looked out at Konoha, excitement bubbling within him. 1 second. 10 seconds. 30 seconds, finally, after a minute, the system chimed. Ding! Congratulations. System refresh location successfully checked. Ding! Congratulations. You've obtained Hashirama Senju's cells, a high-level mastery of armament haki, and 4.4% experience. Ding! Rewards have been placed in the system inventory. System, show me, Hashirama Senju's cells, boosts physical strength and provides chakra levels comparable to a tailed beast, accelerated healing, and exceptional stamina. Host's physical attributes will synergize with the cell's properties upon assimilation. Advanced armament haki, greatly improves defense and attack power, enabling you to discern the flow of a physical body. Grants access to armament hardening, armament entanglement, and armament emission upon mastery. Whitebeard template unlocked to 40.6%, plus 4.4%. New progress, 45% unlocked. Ding! Congratulations. Whitebeard template is 45% unlocked. Unlocked Whitebeard's Conquerors and Armament Haki. P.S. Tips, collections, flowers, and reviews are appreciated.